1996. I was 12 years old. I was sitting in the back of a crowded classroom at Mount Lebanon High School. And the kid sitting in front of me turned around and said, "Do you like baseball?" I did like baseball. I still like baseball. I said yes. And from that beginning, that kicked off what is now over a quarter of a century worth of friendship with the groom today, Mr. Darryl Grandy. It's been one of the great friendships that I've ever had. 25 years of attending various sporting events, of going to concerts, obscure punk and rockabilly and garage rock bands and smoky clubs. It was when we were in high school setting up tables at collectibles shows and selling sports cards, years before you had eBay as a legitimate and healthy outlet for that sort of impulse. And it was one memorable, extremely memorable weekend back when we were in high school where, kind of foreshadowing Darryl's future, we spent the weekend going through seminars involving various Pittsburgh sports media people in hopes of one day becoming broadcasters or people writing for the newspaper or something along those lines, rubbing elbows with the likes of Stan Savran and Andy Van Slyke and Nellie King and John Steigerwald. Now, in the course of that time, I've been able to experience many great qualities of Darryl's, and I'll draw your attention back to what we saw during the ceremony, because I think a couple of these show up as the flip side to things that he had mentioned. He had mentioned being stubborn, but the flip side to being stubborn is tremendous loyalty. A lot has gone down in the last 26 years, but I count on Darryl as great as a friend today as he was then, or as he has been at any time. He talked about his interests and not sharing any interests, with Britt. But what I'll tell you, what I've learned from those interests, a lot of which I share with Darryl, is he's not someone who approaches life and the world in a superficial manner. He wants to deeply know and deeply be involved in anything that he has interest in or is involved in. And I've really appreciated that from Darryl over the years. And the third thing, and you definitely saw this in the ceremony, I've been to a lot of weddings in my day, and I think this was the most agreeably silly yet profound ceremony. The sense of humor. Darryl appreciates the ridiculous as well as anyone I've encountered with anything that I've done. I've been out and about so many times, and I wish that Darryl could be there to experience what I was experiencing. But you saw all that with how we had the silly moments and we had the profound moments, and that's definitely been a part of Darryl. But through all the years and all those various manly and or boyish activities that I described earlier, the one side of Darryl that I really did not get to see was him being in the sort of romantic partnership that you would see with a marriage. And my sense was, if you would have asked me, I would have thought that Darryl had a pretty good chance of being in a successful partnership of that sort. I know his parents have been married for a long time, and he's had that as a great example. And drawing on these other good qualities, I figured that I could, you could extrapolate from that, but really not a whole lot of first-hand knowledge. And then a few years back, I remember vividly, about 2008, he tells me that he's seeing this woman named Britt. And, I was living in Spokane, Washington at the time, so I didn't get to see a lot of this up close, and I have moved, but have not lived in Pittsburgh, all the while here. So, I knew that he was getting married, that they were living together in a beautiful house in the suburb that we grew up in. But it wasn't until about a month ago, when I had a birthday party and we had karaoke, that I was really able to experience the greatness of these two as a couple and to see why they would work, why they could be a successful partnership. The qualities that they described up there, Darryl having these great interests, but maybe needing a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of incitement, a catalyst. And when I saw the two of them together, they went up and they sang duets. I remember they did I Got You Babe, an appropriate song for the state of life that they're in. And Britt went up and sung a few times, that tremendous voice that she has. Remember, she did Betty Davis Eyes. And then Darryl even went up and did a couple of songs on his own You know, he did a U2 song, and he also did a Jay-Z song. And while he was in the middle, Britt came on up and turned his hat around. And I saw that spirit, that catalyst, that, you know, that I think would lead to a really successful partnership. And another thing that I saw was she even got me to go up and sing. And I'm usually the one who's having to inspire and incite people to do those sorts of things. But here, Britt was actually, you know, inspiring me. And I think that's a tremendous quality. And I think from seeing the two of them, I boldly predict years and years of success with their partnership. So with that all said, I think the Tremendous Foundation is here. I thank Daryl. I think it's a great honor to have been selected to be his best man here. I thank both of the families for all that they've done to put everything on. And I thank all of you for coming out here to share all of this with us. And that said, I think it's time for a toast. Please raise your glasses for many years of love and happiness to the couple.
And I want to take this moment now to pass the microphone on to the maid of honor, matron of honor, Elizabeth Stepp.